Welcome to My Watches with Ben, where I talk about watches I picked up for my personal collection, as well as sometimes present score-based analysis of watch types. Today, I'm going to answer the question, was this Casio PRW-35Y a good choice or a bad choice? Keep watching to find out. I'm looking at the Casio Pro Trek PRW-35Y Climber series. I picked this watch up in January of this year, 2025, while analyzing pilot watches. It's not really a pilot watch, but it excelled in the travel watch video because it has really good world time capability, and it really excelled as a pilot chronograph as well because it's a lot thinner than most pilot chronographs. It's got a good digital chronograph timer, and it has an altimeter barometer compass as well. Other ways it excelled is it has really good wearing proportions. You know, like I said, much thinner than other chronographs. It has high accuracy with atomic timekeeping. It's got the solar power. Excellent readability due to the digital display. It has pusher guards, which a lot of chronographs don't have. That helps you not to press them when you don't want to. Yeah, on paper, it's just an absolute spec monster, especially the size and weight. That's really what sets it apart from so many other watches. But specs aside, how does it perform in the real world? I will cover that all in this video. First, I'll cover the specs and features, the numerous functions that it has, then I'll give my positives and negatives, and I'll end with my final thoughts. And there are chapters for the different segments if you like to skip around. Now for the specs and features. Specifications. The model number is the PRW-35Y-3B. The diameter is 44.9 if you include the sensor here on the left and the pusher on the right. If you just measure the bezel, it's only 40 millimeters. Lug width is a disappointing 23 millimeters. The thickness is 13.2. The lug-to-lug distance is 50.7. The weight is 45 grams, according to Casio. I weighed it on the parachute elastic and it's only 43 grams. Water resistance is 100 meters. Crystal is a recessed mineral crystal. Movement is the Casio 3490 module. Price I paid was $260. The case material is bio-resin. Complications. It's got a billion complications on it. Altimeter, barometer, compass, world time, stopwatch, timer, 5 daily alarms, altimeter, barometer, trend. You can see it on the main time screen. There's my barometric trend. Altimeter recording. You can do trek log. You can do waypoint direction. You can set a waypoint. It's got sunrise, sunset. That's an easy one. Here we go. Sunrise, sunset. There's my sunrise, 6:22 a.m. Sunset, 7:42 p.m. Almost sunset. It actually looks pretty dark out. I think it must be full sunset. Anyway, display. Normally I talk about the hands and all kinds of other stuff. Main display is hours, minutes, seconds, then a few other indicators and such. Of course, you can change this to 24-hour if you prefer. You can have day date or month date or the barometric trend on your main timekeeping display. Yeah, I prefer PM, so I prefer to see 7 p.m. rather than 1904. The dial, it's got a positive display, meaning dark numerals on a light background. I mean, it's a digital display, so nobody goes gaga over the display usually. It's fine, it's handsome enough. For chapter ring, there's actually solar panels here. Good grief, why is it so greasy? There's solar panels. I'm trying to get an angle where you can see. This whole big ring on the outside is one big solar panel. There's compass degrees indicated on the outside. 120, 150, 180. But it's stationary, so that doesn't do much. Like, I don't even know what you would use that for. So what would you use the stationary numbers for? North is that way, east is that way. But yeah, 98 degrees east, so I don't know what you use the fixed numbers for when you're using the compass. It is illuminated at night by a backlight. I'll show you a picture of that. I just pressed it, but you can't really tell in the bright room. You can set it up to be auto, so like if you're in a dark room and you flip your wrist up, it will just turn on automatically. That's how I have it set right now. That's why it says LT right there. And of course, you can set the lume to display for 1.5 or 3 seconds. Of course, you choose 3. I don't know who likes 1.5 seconds of illumination. Yeah, day date I mentioned. You can do month date or day date. Mineral crystal, fixed bezel, fixed compass bezel on the outside. Bezel's actually really nice. It's made of some kind of black metal. I don't know what metal it is. And the metal is inlaid for these little markings. You can feel it with the fingernail or just with the finger. You can feel there's divots for this lettering. So it's really high quality. It definitely makes the watch feel more premium. The case shape is, it's kind of futuristic. You've got all these angles and stuff. The molding is totally cheesy. They didn't try to take away the seam marks of the molding. But yeah, it's just an olive color. It's not bad. I like it. There's cream/yellow highlights at the top and bottom here. I paired it with this parachute elastic strap. This is not what it comes on. Yeah, in fact, I'm going to swap that out. Yeah, it's better. So yeah, the cream highlights here, that's all you get. There are 5 pushers, 3 on the left for the Alti compass. Then you have, what does this say? Adjust and mode. And this is kind of odd. So they've got these semicircle pusher guards on this side. Very nice. They cover the buttons entirely. They go right up flush, pretty much. The buttons have a grippy pattern on it that actually feels rougher than it looks. But then on this side, no pattern. They're just plain pushers, and the pusher guards are weak sauce. So I don't know why they did that on the left side, but then on the right side you have better ones. Maybe it's because the sensor helps. That's probably why. You don't need pusher guards as much on that side as you do on this side. But yeah, this sensor sticking out here kind of makes the whole thing look a little bit asymmetrical. In the white background, you can see it a little bit better. It's a little bit asymmetrical. That's all I have to say about the case. The lugs are really interesting here. They just kind of stick out here. It's really weird what they did. They're very thin. It seems like they're just going to snap off. I wish they had a little bit more material here. In fact, with the 23mm lug width, they could have made it a 22mm lug width and just given a little bit more material on these lugs. That would have been much better. The strap, they call this urethane. It's very smooth. It feels really nice. Yeah, it feels really premium, actually. You can make this so tiny, like your baby can wear the watch if they want to. It's like suitable for a baby, how tight this goes. And then let's see how it works on my 7¼ wrist. Okay, so comfortable for me, I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 additional holes on a 7¼ wrist. So I think it'd be hard to find any man alive who couldn't wear this watch, on the small end or the big end. In terms of the strap, this is insane how many holes they have. The last 3 holes are not punched out. I guess if you really needed to, you could punch those out as well. It does have quick release spring bars, which are nice. The back has been evacuated in the middle to help with breathability. I'm just not a fan of anything silicone or rubber or any of that stuff. It drives my skin crazy. So I almost always change the bands if they're silicone or rubber. Fortunately, that's super easy on this model. Unlike a lot of other Casios, it's just regular lugs. Even though they're 23mm, but you can just use normal straps. You don't have to do something weird. Clasp is black metal. Maybe it's steel. I don't know. They did sign it. They signed it Casio Thailand. That does actually look pretty lame. The pin in the middle is skeletonized, which probably cuts down on weight. But yeah, let's check Casio's work. They said 45 grams. I'm getting 44. Okay, interesting. Time setting is done with the buttons. It's a little bit complicated, but just keep your manual. Use your manual. This one actually did come with a manual, so that's good. So all the instructions are here for your reading pleasure. You just have to learn Japanese first. That's the only downside. No, but Casio makes all their manuals available online, so no problem there. The case back is screwed in with 4 screws. Just 4 Phillips screws. That's kind of odd, but it's got this nice mountain motif, the Pro Trek with their font there. It looks good. I like what they put on the back. It's cool to see the black case back as well with the light lettering. It's kind of gray lettering. That's nice. For what it's worth, made in Thailand. As it shows on the back, the 3490 module is inside, which supports all those cool complications. And I don't know if it has an accelerometer or if it uses the compass to detect when you flip it up to see the light. I don't know how they do that. Probably not a full accelerometer. And then accuracy, I always talk about accuracy. Well, this is as good accuracy as you'll ever get because it's atomic timekeeping. They say if you lose the atomic signal, the accuracy of the module without any atomic corrections is plus or minus 15 seconds a month. So that's not too bad. I don't know what the warranty is It might be in here somewhere. It might be in Japanese on here. This warranty is valid only in Japan. Okay, so there's no warranty on this for Westerners. Be aware of that. All right, let's look at the box. Get excited. This box is amazing. Now, it's all paper. Everything in here is paper. There's a box within a box. There's always a box within a box. But the box is made of paper. Paperboard, to be precise. Even the watch holder is just paperboard. That's okay. I really don't mind. I worked in recycling for a couple of years, so recycling is good. I understand the goals of not having wasteful packaging. If you know anything about recycling, the hardest part of recycling is getting people to buy recycled material. So the fact that they're using recycled material, that's pretty cool. That is it for the box. On to the features.
Features.
All right, let me show you the features. I'm not going to go too crazy with the features because we'd be here all night. Start with altimeter. So you just press the altimeter button and it shows you your altitude. And of course, this is not correct. It uses barometric change to detect altitude. So what you have to do is calibrate it every time you use it. I'm at 54.45. When I'm on the main floor, I'm in the basement right now, so it's probably a little bit less. All right, let's calibrate it. You just hold down, they call it the E button. That's this adjust button. And then you just go, and everything's backwards on this watch. This is down and this is up. Everything, all the menus work that way. This goes down, see? The top button goes down, the bottom button goes up. I don't know why they do it that way. But even the chronograph is backwards. Everything is kind of backwards on this. You just have to remember that. But we'll just set it to 54, set it to 54.35. There we go. And up here, you can show a trend line, or you can show the difference from your starting point. So you can set the starting point of your hike or whatever, and it'll show you the distance up here, the difference rather. It'll say you've gone plus 50 or whatever. So that's easy to do as well. You just hold this, then you press the bottom one. And this is the interval, how often you want it to take measurements. And then the display is right here. Do you want a trend or difference? So if you go with difference, you'll see it's 110 feet difference, 110 more feet from when I started. And that's because I just adjusted it. I just calibrated it. But that's pretty useful for a hike. Something I forgot to mention is the trek log. It'll capture your highs and lows and do all these other things over the course of the hike. It's kind of confusing. I tried using it once. I don't remember all the nuances, but it's there if you like that sort of thing. All right, let's go to the barometer. I did mine in inches in mercury. You can do hectopascals if you prefer. It'll just show you the tendency graph up there. It'll give you alerts too if there's big changes. There'll be like an arrow or something. I haven't seen that yet, but that's what the manual says. And then here's the temperature, 88.6. It's not that hot in here. And again, you can do Fahrenheit or Celsius, but it's in my hot hands. And the manual says leave it alone for 20 or 30 minutes to get an accurate reading of the room. Compass, I found it to be super accurate. Mine's fritzing out a bit right now, but I'm around some metal things, so that might be messing it up. All right, let me just show you the main menus. So we have time here. Next we have sunrise, sunset. Sunrise is 6:22 a.m., sunset is 7:42 p.m. Here you can record different altitudes. I recorded this on a hike a little while back. It even tells you the date, April 12th at 10 a.m. Pretty cool. Recorded this in the sand dunes. It's a little bit lower than where I am. On July 25th, 9:10 p.m. So that's pretty cool. I don't know what the maximum number is. Stopwatch is right here. Like I said, it's backwards. Start, stop is at the bottom. Stop, reset. Very simple, just a normal stopwatch. The timer, you can only set minutes and hours. You cannot set seconds, so it has to be whole minutes. But it's the same thing, start, stop at the bottom. Yeah, so here it goes, it's counting down. And then you can reset with that. And then to set it, you just hold down the adjust button. And then you can just, you cycle through with this button, and then you go up and down. And again, down is up and up is down, so just remember that. Let's go to the next menu. Alarm. You can set all kinds of alarms. Signal is off. Yes, please don't give me alarms. I don't like alarms on my watches, so yeah, there's no alarms. I don't use that at all. World time is so cool on this watch. It has all the zones programmed. It knows daylight saving time or not for all these zones, at least as of 2019. But you just go through them. And if I was traveling somewhere, we're getting away from home instead of towards it. say I'm traveling to DC, I would just keep it on the world time mode with New York City time here and my home time right there. Very simple. You don't have to change time. You just go to the world time screen and go up and down till you see the time zone you want. It's very handy. This tells me when I received an atomic signal. But that is all the menus. There's some more advanced functions the watch does. I think I pretty much covered all of it. A lot of functionality on this watch. There's some other cool models available. They have the 1B with the negative display. See that going for like $250. They have the 2J, which is blue, the 3J, which is teal. They have the one with the metal bezel with the red highlights. That is the 1A. The one on my wrist, the 3B, the green version. These all kind of go for around $250, $260. One bugaboo I have is the product images show all these squares around the perimeter, making you think that's going to constantly go and you'll see the seconds or whatever. That's not on the actual watch. It's annoying they put that on their product images. Still a great watch, still a cool watch. Doesn't really look like what it looks like in the product images though. But yeah, they have a lot of fun colors. Probably the best one is this new one. The newest version they put out is the PRW-35LD. And that's the first watch Casio has ever made with a phosphorescent LCD screen, meaning it absorbs light and it glows without pressing any button. It's like traditional lume, but on a digital watch, which I don't know of any other watch that does that. That's probably the one to get because I see them on eBay for $263. Like, it's the same cost, but you have the new phosphorescent LCD, and I like that colorway better than all the other ones. Was not available when I bought mine. The one with the brown band is the one to get, and obviously just change the band for something else. They even offer one on a titanium bracelet. It's the PRW-35 LTD. And I don't really get that one because the case is still resin, but it has a titanium bracelet. And that goes for $450. So almost double the cost. You just get a weird titanium bracelet. I think everybody kind of knows that Casio bracelets aren't top of the class. So that's not the one to get. Probably the brown one is the one to get. On to the positives. Positives! The watch is packed with features, and most of them are very intuitive to use. Some are a little more complicated to get in advanced stuff. But yeah, the sunrise, sunset, the world time, the altimeter, barometer, compass, the temperature, stopwatch, timer, those are all simple, easy to use. I really like the auto light that comes on. You just flip it up when you're in a dark room and it pops right up there. The compass is very nice on this one once it's calibrated. Much easier to use than two other compass watches I have, the Guess World Watch, and it's easier than that Altichron that I sold. I think it looks pretty darn cool. It's very lightweight. It's a great size, unlike so many other digital outdoor watches. Just digital watches in general. It's like either it's for a kid or it's 52 millimeters. And it's like, where's the in-between? Here's the in-between. 40 millimeters around the bezel. If you don't count the pushers and stuff. And only 13.2 thick. It's ridiculous. It is so good. They made this the right size. The atomic timekeeping is fantastic. I like the power saving mode it has. I put it in its little box. Every time I open it up, the screen is totally empty. I know it's not wasting power. It also charges in the sun very quickly. I love the world time capability on it. That's really nice. And even though it's not the best display in the world, you can still read it at extreme angles. Plenty good enough for me. I don't need to be able to read the time at the most extreme angles possible. And you can still read the time at practically any angle that you can still see the watch face. On to the negatives. Yeah, the first negative, 23 millimeter lug width. What were they thinking? That is bizarre, and I don't get why they did it. I mean, it's not a huge deal because you can still put a 22 millimeter strap on it, but there's a little gap. And there doesn't need to be a little gap. It doesn't make any sense. It's a very non-standard width. Other negative is that product image. The real watch not having the squares. Why did they put that in the product image? And not why didn't they put it in the product image? Why doesn't the watch do that? Because so many other watches do. It is cool to see that. They should have just had it on there. Would have spiced it up just a little bit more. Another negative is I don't care for urethane straps. So I had to swap that out. I'm much happier with fabric strap. And I'm hesitate to even say this is a negative, but it has 100 meters water resistance. I wonder, could it have had 200? And the reason I'm saying this is because the Citizen Altichron, the Citizen Skyhawk, both of those have 200 meters water resistance, and they have pushers. The Altichron even has the same kind of sensor. I think it's because the case back, this has a screw-in case back rather than screw-down. And 100 meters is totally fine. You know, on the Casio website, it says it's suitable for snorkeling, suitable for swimming. That's all I would use it for. Honestly, if I'm going snorkeling, I'll just grab a dive watch anyway. So something I thought I would point out is that there are 200 meter options that have pushers. And then another negative is the way the menus are set up is a little bit bizarre. So sunrise, sunset is the first menu, and then your recorded altimeter readings. I don't understand why that's like the second menu. It is the climber series, so I guess they wanted you to find your altimeter stuff right away. Should have been on the altimeter screen though. I don't know why it's on the main menu cycle. It's a very small negative. I have very few negatives with this watch, even though I just listed 5. Those are my negatives. Now on to the closing. In closing, was this a good or bad decision to add to my collection? Well, I guess if you think about my pocketbook, maybe it's not a great decision. But no, it was a great decision because it literally changed my opinion on digitals entirely. My first digital watch was one of those like F91W type of watches. This one has the EL backlight, but it was tiny. It was a little kid watch. I didn't get it. It felt dinky and weird, and I didn't like it. You know, the DW5600, a lot of people love it. I did not. I hated that watch. Hate is a strong word, but I didn't like wearing it. It never really clicked for me. Casio fishing timer, which I'll review soon, it was just really uncomfortable to wear, so I never wanted to wear it. You know, until I switched it to a nylon band, and now I'm very happy with the Casio fishing timer. But this one was the one that made me think, I actually really like digital watches. These are really cool. There's something really enjoyable about having all these functions on there, playing with the watch, and just having the time be so clear. And the main thing is just how great it is to wear. It just feels amazing to wear. I love taking this thing to the mountains. It really feels like a useful tool to have up there. I really enjoy the world time when I'm not in the mountains. Sunrise, sunset is really cool too. And I use the stopwatch very often. It's very simple to get there and use the thing. These buttons are a lot easier than the DW5600. You don't have to use a fingernail or something. You can just use your fingers. Yeah, this watch totally ruined the Citizen Altichron for me, and then I sold it. I had to sell it. You put them next to each other. Which one do I want to wear? There's no way I would ever want to wear the Altichron anymore. This is exactly what I was looking for when I picked up the Citizen Altichron. It is superior in every possible way. The loom, the readability, the size and weight. All the features this thing has that the Altichron doesn't. The snappiness and accuracy of the compass and the altimeter. It's just really precise. And the atomic timekeeping is so good. I love atomic timekeeping. And this one, being digital, it feels so precise. I really like that. And I even liked getting to see the temperature when we went glamping. You know, checking at 3 a.m, how cold is it? It feels pretty cold. You know, it turns out it wasn't all that cold, but it's nice to have that on the watch so I know how cold it is when I'm camping. So I just can't sing the praises of this watch enough. I love this thing. For outdoor usage, you know, it doesn't have a GPS. It doesn't have the fitness stuff, the steps, the heart rate, all that stuff. So if you don't care about the GPS and the fitness stuff, this is the complete total package. It's the best outdoor dumb watch for hiking, for sure. There's no other watch, aside from maybe the Garmin, that I like as much as this one. Garmin has been nice because of the heart rate stuff, and I've been using it for my workouts and those sorts of things. But yeah, certainly for dumb watch, this one's the best one in the collection, that's for sure. That's all I have about the watch. If you've watched my channel before, you know I like to talk about the Bible after that. Talking about Sarah today, continuing with the Hebrews 11 Hall of Faith. So now let's segue to Bible time. Welcome to Bible Time with Ben. I'm not a pastor or biblical scholar. I'm just a Christian who likes to talk about the Bible. Today I'm continuing the series on the Hebrews 11 Hall of Faith with Sarah. The passage is found in Hebrews 11, verses 11 through 12. And by faith, even Sarah, who was past childbearing age, was enabled to bear children because she considered him faithful who had made the promise. And so from this one man, and he as good as dead, I mean, he's really old, came descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as countless as the sand on the seashore. Stars in the sky comes from Genesis 15:5. He took him outside and said, "Look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them." Then he said to him, so shall your offspring be. Sand in the sea, that comes from Genesis 32, verse 12. But you have said, I will surely make you prosper and will make your descendants like the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted. So it's interesting. I said Sarah. Earlier, her name is Sarai. And God changed Sarah's name, same as he did from Abram to Abraham. And where that happens for Sarah is in Genesis 17, verse 15 through 19. God also said to Abraham, as far as Sarai, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarai. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her. Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And Abraham said to God, if only Ishmael might live under your blessing. That's his first son with Hagar. Then God said, yes, Ishmael will be blessed. But your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. So Abraham laughed, and, Isaac, God says in this passage that your son will be named Isaac, and Isaac means laughter. That's Strong's 3327. Reference for Hebrew and Greek words in the Bible. Spill water. Genesis 18, 11 through 15, here's where Sarah laughs. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. She's 90 years old, so yeah. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, after I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure? Then the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh and say, will I really have a child now that I'm old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, I did not laugh. But he said, yes, you did laugh. And so they both laughed at this, the 90 years old and the 100. And when you think about it, it is pretty humorous for a 90-year-old woman to bear a child. So I understand why they both laughed. Even though they both laughed at God's promise of a child, they still believed. And God was faithful to his word. Hebrews 10, verse 23 says, let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. God is faithful to us. We should be faithful to him. So yeah, God changed Sarah's name to reflect her expanded role. She's going to be the mother of nations. She's included with God's covenant with Abraham. So the original name, Sarai, was Strong's 8297. Sar means prince, the first part of it. And then Ai is a common feminine ending to names. So it just means princess. It's a female prince. And then the name God gave her, Sarah, 8283. Well, it still has the prince part, the Sar. But now the ending is he. And he is breath or spirit. I mean, when you say it, it sounds like breath. Heh. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it right. I don't speak Hebrew. But one of the commentaries I read said that's the same letter that was added to Abraham's name too. I think in his it was put in the middle because Abram, then it's Abraham. Heh. And the letter he is actually two of the letters of the Tetragrammaton, the name of God. Yod, he, vav, he, which people say Yahweh, or some people say Jehovah for that. But the Tetragrammaton is the name of God. I put it on the screen for you. All right, I'll read some more about Sarah here. Genesis 21, verses 1 through 7. Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant at 90 and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him, as God commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me. And she added, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children, yet I have borne him a son in his old age? And I'm sure Sarah was very pleased with this because she's 90 years old, never had a child, and then finally she did. And there's an interesting parallel here with the story of Jesus' cousin, John the Baptist. It's in Luke 1, verse 36, talking to Mary. Even Elizabeth, your relative, is going to have a child in her old age, and she who is said to be unable to conceive is in her 6th month. So a little bit of a parallel there. Going back, so Abraham is actually the father to all of us. all of us believers, even those of us not directly descended from him, the Bible says we are his offspring. So Romans 4, verse 16 through 21 says, "Therefore the promise comes by faith, so that it may be by grace and may be guaranteed to all Abraham's offspring." And here's where it says it. "Not only to those who are of the law, but also to those who have the faith of Abraham." If you have the faith of Abraham, you are Abraham's offspring. So that children's song comes in. Father Abraham. He is the father of all of us. As it is written, "I have made you a father of many nations." He is our father in the sight of God, in whom he believed, the God who gives life to the dead and calls into being things that were not. Continuing, "Against all hope, Abraham in hope believed, and so became the father of many nations, just as it had been said to him, 'So shall your offspring be.' Without weakening in his faith, he faced the fact that his body was as good as dead, 100, man, give him a hard time, since he was about 100 years old, and that Sarah's womb was also dead. She's 90. Yet he did not waver through unbelief regarding the promise of God, but was strengthened in his faith and gave glory to God, being fully persuaded that God had power to do what he had promised." Abraham has amazing faith. I would love to have that level of faith. And like I said, Sarah was as much a part of all of this as Abraham. So as much as we're children of Abraham, we're children of Sarah. So she'll be the mother of many nations. Yeah, where was that? Yeah, in Genesis 17:16, it said, "I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations." Yeah, I have one more passage on the faith of Sarah that ties some things together here. It's found in 1 Peter 3, verses 5 and 6. "For this is the way the holy women of the past, who put their hope in God, used to adorn themselves. They submitted themselves to their own husbands, like Sarah, who obeyed Abraham and called him her Lord." I think we read that. "You are her daughters if you do what is right and do not give way to fear." Sarah's a great model of faith, and as she rightly submitted to her husband, as the Bible says wives are supposed to do, so are husbands to submit to the Lord. Everybody submits in Christianity. All of us need to have that spirit of submission. The God of the Bible teaches us to follow authority, and he gives us different authorities in our lives. But the ultimate authority in the universe is God. If we believe in God's promises and walk in his ways, we will be blessed. And Sarah, in following her husband, was following God. And that's why she's specifically mentioned in the Hall of Faith. It's just as important. We were actually reading Proverbs 3 to our kids last night. We read from the Bible every night. And the passage we read last night fits perfectly with this, so I'm going to read it here. It's Proverbs 3, verses 1 through 6. "My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." That's what we've seen with all of the people in the Hall of Faith. They are faithful to God, they submit to God, and they win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. That's all I've got on Sarah here today. I'm really enjoying going through the Hall of Faith, and the next one on the list is Abraham Part 2, where God asked Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, and then he sent an angel to prevent Abraham from doing it, because God hates child sacrifice. I did cover this story already in Bible Time number 29, so I'm not going to repeat it in this Hebrews 11 series, but there are some really great lessons in the passage. So there's a link to Bible Time number 29 in the description, so check that out if you want to hear that story. And in the next video I post, I will cover Isaac, the next person mentioned in the Hall of Faith. If you want more biblical analysis, I've linked 4 pastors in the description. Check them out. They're all awesome. And now for a prayer. Lord, thank you for the authority structure that you give to our lives. You call all of us to lead at times and to follow at times, always to follow you in everything we do. Lord, I pray that you would give me that spirit of submission. Just help me to realize I have a higher employer, you, but also for me to be faithful to other authority figures in my life, parents, employer, government, except when those authority figures go against you, who is the ultimate authority. Of course, we submit to you first and foremost. Lord, I thank you for this opportunity to go through the Hall of Faith. It's been very beneficial. Please bless us all in Jesus' name. Amen. Now may the Lord of peace himself give you peace always and in every way. The Lord be with you all. See you next time.